Good morning. I woke up this morning to go for a run, and I couldn't stop thinking about the charts, so I figured now's a good time to do the high time frame alignment for the weekend, talk through the positions, and what we could possibly see coming up based on this most recent Bitcoin support break. Okay, let me walk you through how I'm going to manage everything. The first thing I want to note is before we even get started is I'm very confident in the high time frame up, but that does not mean we want to hold all longs through some sort of capitulation. So I'm going to walk through what that means for Bitcoin and some other tickers really quick. First, it looks to me like Bitcoin is going to test here. My stop loss is here. That would be a close call. Why do I keep my stop loss here? Because that's the swing low. If this stop breaks, it will come like this. It will bounce a little bit and then it will likely capitulate. That's what happens when you break high time frame swing lows. Okay, so my stop is in a place to prevent deeper drawdown than just testing the swing low. But you have to keep your stop at the swing low, if that makes sense. Now, here's the issue that I have right now. The reason I am not, if I expect it to go down here, and the reason, and my entry is right here. Why would I hold through this? Because I don't know if I'm right about this back test. It might happen, it might not. It might bounce right here, and here's the reason why. I believe no matter what that this back test is going to be filled, but I am of the suspicion that Bitcoin is going to crank it and then rug pull. And I think the rug pull is to that back test right down here. I think that we make a range, we push, and then we rug pull to this back test. And then wouldn't it make more sense to just fill it right now? No, sometimes it just doesn't move like that. So what you have to do is be comfortable with your stop loss at the swing low. Let them figure out which direction they want to go. And if you stop out, I'm just wrong about that. And what's likely to happen if I stop out of this position is they are going to retest our entry right here. They'll come down here and I will rebuy right here if the swing low breaks up here. That's the plan. If they send a capitulation wick because they break my stop loss, I'm going to rebuy the back test of the breakout. So I will likely put an order in here and an order in here, and I will let them do the thing. So that is my plan to manage Bitcoin. Basically, nothing. I'm going to do nothing. I have my position where I want it. I have my stop loss where I want it. And I need to know that even though I need to serve the high time frame bias, so the bias is up even if they capitulate on the low time frame like I just showed, and I can't possibly know whether they go up and then down or they just go down directly. I just know that how to take advantage whichever path they do, and that starts with just being comfortable with my position, which I am. So I'm holding a 65 long with an add at 79.1. If you're nervous about that, what you want to do is sell this relief bounce that's likely coming and buy a reclaim of 85, because this could happen right here, right? And that would get you out of your most recent add. I think that we're just going into some deep chop, basically. So lots of opportunities to do the wrong thing here. And in order to prevent being chopped up, I'm simply going to hold my position where I added 65 and 71, or I'm sorry, 78.1 with the stop loss at just below 75 at the swing low. That's the plan for Bitcoin. And whichever path they give us, I'll tell you how to exploit that later. What does that mean for ES? Two things. One, it could mean anything. We're going to see how this thing resolves first, right? Because ES and Bitcoin are kind of like peas in a pod. If Bitcoin decides to bounce right here, makes a new high, and you sell that, but then you see a higher low and a push, you need to rebuy because it just reclaimed the range it broke down from. Okay. However, if we see this in a rejection and a push lower, that means ES is likely to gap down. Let's orient to how ES looks on the high time frame. The first thing I want to say is I have been saying 73 for a long time. This is probably because I am on mobile so often. This is the flag that we broke out of. This is the flag that should be outlined on your chart that I've been, if you're new here, you probably don't have this, but if you look back each weekend, I talk about a high time frame video and a structure that we should be paying attention to on a high time frame. This flag is encompassed by 7100 to 7200. I have been saying 73. You should keep this structure on your chart. This structure will be back tested no matter what. Okay? However, this is where the strategy comes on, and it's very similar to Bitcoin. If we go up, like Bitcoin has the more bullish path, and we go up very similar to Bitcoin, I believe when we hit our ES upside, we will rug pull to back test this flag. I think that the back test of this flag is coming, just like I said. I think the back test on BTC is coming once we hit the highs. The question is, do we take the back test directly? Like, do we just casually draw down into it like an easy short, right? Or do we push up, find a high, and then do it violently later? The way I've been guiding you guys is the second, that I think they're going to make it tricky and do it violently later. But I'm going to walk you through the low time frame Sunday open real quick and the high time frame. Again, I'm just flipping the charts and showing you what I see in real time. So, in order, you need to have a short bias right now on the low time frame in ES, because the last thing that happened was a failure to reclaim. A reclaim in this situation means we needed to take this high out, which we failed to do, and then set a higher low in the 60s right here. So in order for this reclaim to be successful, we would have had to do this on Friday, push here instead of rejecting where we did, and then held a higher low right where this breakdown happened. Remember, when I talk about reclaims, guys, I am often talking about reclaim of an old zone, or you could think of it as a old resistance being reclaimed as a new support, but they always start the same way, and it's by taking out the stop losses of the most recent short and then finding a support above where that short started. That is what a reclaim looks like, only in this case it would have looked more like this. So, we did not reclaim. You could not have a long bias. You should not be longing every support at open. Here's how you get a long bias. If Bitcoin turns around right now and starts doing the bull thing, or it capitulates like a little bit further, this is fine, and starts doing the bull thing, and we start pushing up at open, ES is likely to track that. What that could look like for ES is, depending on how long Bitcoin takes, is a test of a lower level, maybe down here. I don't know. But what you need to do to have a long bias now is you need to see price relief bounce to around 7,500. You can play this as a reclaim of 7,444. So if price pushes up and reclaims the middle of this range, you can play this relief bounce. But what will happen after that is you have to play it like a reclaim, exactly the same that we did on Friday, meaning once we push up here, there's a very good chance of a flag down, and you want that flag to hold a higher low in range, likely in the 60s. If it is able to do this, you can have a bull bias on the low time frame and the high time frame. Until that happens, we continue with our high time frame bull bias, but we do not want to add longs with leverage. We don't want to long anything on the low time frame until we do the thing that I just said. Take out this high and hold a higher low. Don't keep longing supports until that happens. The reason is because when the bear plan played out on Thursday overnight to Friday, that was unpredictable, but now that has played out, we have enough information to know that our first reclaim failed. We are not allowed to have a low time frame bias bullishly until a reclaim sticks, and that has not happened yet. However, The high time frame is bullish, just like Bitcoin, and I will stick to it. The only thing I don't know, guys, is if we are going down directly first and up, or like I said, up and then rug pulling later and going down. And we need to kind of lean into that low time frame to figure it out. Figure out what's going on. So we'll let this play out, guys. But these level downs in the bear plan are completely possible if Bitcoin decides to capitulate, like I said, on the most capitulate into a back test, which that is looking like it could happen, and I just don't know. So I told you where the stop loss is in that. Let's run down each of the tickers and what that means for them. So you shouldn't be sweating Riot too much because we already hit our take profit, and now we're just wondering, what does this look like? What does this range look like? And I don't know. This range could come all the way down and backtest the breakout. It could go straight up to a take profit. I don't know. That's why this leg of Riot is just kind of like a hold for high time frame shares out of it for the trade. I don't know which is which. But the high time frame bias is up regardless of what it chooses to do on the low time frame. Whip up or down does not matter. This trade is over. This is a high time frame trade now where I will hedge out up here and I will add down here. And I don't want to play the middle of the chart after profit takes. What does it mean for Mara? There is a decent chance we sweep out this low if ES gaps down. The reason that we could sweep out this low is it produced a lower high. So that is not completely unexpected here to come down like this. This doesn't look like much, but I use a logarithmic chart, so it's going to feel like a lot more than it really is on the time frame that we're holding Mara. That means a 7 to 8% down day is not crazy here. And you need to be aware of that, right? You need to be aware that that's seems like a lot of drawdown for an average stock, but Mara and Riot are not average stocks. They're high beta. They go very high up, very high down. So I want to give you expectations here. I have already bought the dip at 12. This was an average up. And if they do this sort of thing, I will not buy the dip because my goal for the next bullet is to buy the dip when I know we're back on trend, not just to fire two bullets in the same spot. That doesn't make sense. Okay, AMD. I am confident in this upside, just like all the other ones. What I don't know is if we gap fill down here. This is a complete possibility. I'm not in the AMD trade anymore. Our take profit was at 410. Okay. If I were to get back in AMD long, it's going to be after we hit a big spike up, a capitulation down, and I have an alert to rebuy down here for the next big trend leg. This shouldn't be a surprise because it's the same plan that's been sitting in there for a week. So I'm not messing with AMD, but I do expect upside. I don't know what the exact low is. My guess is it's the gap fill right here. It could be just like one of these little situations. Boop, boop. Now, the reason I think that is because Oxy is getting close to our short entry. What does this mean for the market? Well, Oxy is kind of like our hedge, right? It goes up when the market goes down and vice versa. It's like oil tide. So we got into Oxy down here. I sold my long before close on Friday. I think it gaps up, meaning ES could gap down a support level, but I think it gaps up into our short entry. So my plan is to enter Oxy short around 62, maybe give it a little bit of time to see how it wicks around, but ultimately I'm going to be in the short around 62. I want to play it back down, and that I feel is where the market is going to be too. I'm going to play this right back down to the gap fill that we initially longed from. Once that gap fill has a relief bounce, I'm going to play the actual breakdown of the oil trade. So that's the plan for Oxy. I'm just going to keep playing it in a logical way. The thing with Meta is the exact same thing with everything else. My long is right here at 600. We went below it. We are now trading above it. If we gap down, there is a great chance we are going to gap fill Meta. What does that look like? Looks like a 5% down day. Now, what I don't want people to do is panic. What that means is if this is turning into a broadening wedge like that, now you can look on this chart. We're not even close. We're not even close to breaking our swing low down here. We're just kind of dealing with finding our higher low over this range, which is what I am trying to long. Okay, so I don't want you to worry too much about meta, but I do want you to know that there's a potential for a gap down. I'm trying to walk you through the swings to show you what it looks on the high time frame, and reiterate that my high time frame targets are pretty much set in stone right now. I believe unless we break this swing low, I know where we're going, and I'm positioned as such. Okay, so even though we're slightly in profit in meta, I have a good idea that we're going to wick down and make everybody unhappy. My plan is to hold through it. My plan is to hold through it because I'm comfortable with this level of drawdown, but if you're not, you need to be aware of what could happen next. NUE, this is another one I'm just holding. I don't much care. We've been in NUE since about 160. I anticipate it going to 260. I'm not going to I'm not trading Nvidia or NUE no matter how much they gap up or down, just because they're just lower beta. I'm fine with just holding through this stuff. I don't have a Netflix position yet. MSTR. This is going to track Bitcoin. If we gap down in Bitcoin, we're going to test this swing low. Okay, so it's going to look like this, maybe like this, come down here, whatever. Again, if you're highly leveraged up, this isn't what you want to see, but it is what it is, guys. The idea that MSTR is going to have these like this range building exercise is unless you're leveraged, this shouldn't mean anything to you. The goal for MSTR is to take our upside to around 400. So whatever happens in here, that doesn't change that goal. We're so far above the swing lows where other people have entered that we would have to come a long way down to negate that plan. Nvidia, I'm not touching, but I do believe it's kind of doing the 3 spike thing that I talked about earlier. So 1, 2, maybe a little bit further down, a spike up, and then I think we're going to get a re-entry later. So I don't think that changes for Nvidia. But if we get this exactly like this and we have a big green spike, I'll end up hedging it, because I do think that this is the re-entry. And again, this would be very similar to the idea with ES that we come down, we spike up, and we get a back test on our flag that we broke out on. This flag is very important, guys, to note, because this flag is the flag over prior all-time high. So we flagged prior all-time high, we held a higher low, and we pushed. We don't want to lose the flag that we came from, or it becomes a false breakout. So make sure you have that flag on your chart. See the small positions. Jasmine, what are we doing? This one's annoying. This is another one that I'm going to just hold. I've been holding this through all of this junk. I'm not going to stop now. I know that these back tests are annoying and severe, but until we lose the actual swing low, like the actual swing low, there's no it doesn't negate what it's doing. So it can go up, it can go down, it can be dramatic and low liquidity, but it should not be a big part of your portfolio anyway. It should be your lotto ticket section of your portfolio, same as CRV. I think that keeps us aligned on everything. So what I want you to do is, if we're coming down, guys, and we're testing this swing low, don't panic. Keep your stops where they should be. Like I said, this probably corresponds to ES coming a little bit lower and testing some of its other swing lows. You should have a low time frame bearish bias because of this, but the only way to get to eliminate that bearish bias, guys, is we need to hit 7,500 and hold a higher low. Until that happens, the only thing you should be doing is looking lower on the chart and looking for false breakdowns of some of these lows. As long as these false breakdowns occur over the flag that we broke out of, we're in a bullish bias, but we can't hold on to that with leverage in the short term. and I wanted to prepare you for what that looked like and some of the tickers that you may be holding. Okay. So I'm just going to let this play out, and we will see what the weekend brings, and if there's any updates. I do not know. I really do hope, though, that if we can avoid hitting this low, that would leave a big glaring back test and a short target later, which would be a really neat setup for a short. We'll see if they leave it open or not. Take care, guys.